Hi, Dad. How are Social Security benefits calculated?
You don't know how long I've been waiting for you to ask me that question. A lot of times when we hear about Social Security benefits, we hear, how much am I going to receive? How much am I going to get? And it feels very reactive. But we want to be proactive. Your Social Security retirement benefits are based on you. They're what you do, really based on what you earn. And the number one term that we got to understand and we got to figure out how it's calculated is your PIA, your primary insurance amount. Now, pretty much everything is based on your primary insurance amount. And what that is the amount that you would receive if you applied for benefits at your full retirement age. Everything, almost everything is based on that. Spousal benefit, based on that. Benefits for children, based on your PIA. You take your benefits early, you get a smaller percentage of your PIA. You delay, you take your benefit late, you get a larger percentage of your PIA. It's critically important to understand that. Now, there are calculators on the Social Security Administration website that you can use to determine your PIA. But just like all calculators, we want to understand the math behind it so that we can be proactive. Because again, your Social Security benefits are going to be dependent upon what you do, how much you earn. Now, I'm not going to just talk at you. Let's use some real numbers, some real numbers for an example so that we can walk through the 4-step process that you need to take in order to calculate your own PIA or primary insurance amount. So let's go. Here's the Social Security statement of Wanda Worker. Now, the Social Security Administration provides this statement just as an example, and this is what we're going to do to walk through the calculating the PIAA, calculating full retirement benefits. So Wanda Worker, see here in the retirement benefits, she was born on April 5th, 1962. Because she was born later than in 1960 or later, then her full retirement age is 67. Of course, we know that she can apply for her benefits early as early as age 62 or as late as age 70. Now, Wanda Worker will be eligible for retirement benefits at age 62, and that will be in 2024. We're going to need that. We're going to have to remember that. 2024 is when she's eligible to first apply for Social Security benefits. Now, that's important to know. Here we have some numbers, but these numbers are a little dated because inflation has changed. We're going to calculate the full retirement benefit, so we don't need those numbers. What I wanted to show you, though, which you have to analyze and make sure is accurate, is the earnings record. So you'll see it goes year to year to year, the earnings that were captured by Social Security. And you'll see in this first few, the years are clumped together. Now, why does it look like that? Well, it looks like that because there's not enough room on the page to have all of these years of her earnings. And so if you were to create a profile on SSA.gov and pull your own Social Security statement, which I implore you to do, then you'd see that those years, 1971 and 1980 or 1981 and 1990, those years will be broken out. So you'll be able to see year to year to year, just as you can for these. But there's just simply not enough room. And what we're focused on right here is earnings tax for Social Security. We're not worried about Medicare. It looks similar in most cases. But the first step in calculating your PIA, your primary insurance amount, is to focus on and make sure that these earnings are accurate. So you have to create a profile and log on to SSA.gov. Now, I love spreadsheets. I do. I like Excel. And so we're going to move to Excel. And all I'm going to do is move these numbers into Excel so that we can calculate that PIA. But the first step is to make sure these numbers are accurate. All right, let's move. Let's move to Excel. So all I did was move those numbers from that PDF, from that document into Excel so that we can manipulate some of the numbers. Here you can see these are the earnings tax for Social Security, the numbers broken out. Now, what we want to do, we know that in order to be eligible for Social Security, you need 10 years of Social Security earnings, and Social Security also needs your highest earning 35 years. That's what it uses as a step in calculating your Social Security benefit. So because these numbers are broken out, we got to make some assumptions. So what I did is said, okay, 246,000 for these 10 years. Well, let's just say divide it by 10 and say, 24,600 every year during that period. And that's what I did. So I broke out these years into year by year by year. And so at age 18, Wanda in 1980, she made $2,142. Now there's a lot going on in this table, so don't get overwhelmed. All I have down here is I included her age. This is the work year. These are the earnings from her Social Security statement. Now, not all earnings are subject to Social Security tax. So there's an earnings limit. For 2023, that earnings limit is $160,000. Last year it was $147,000. Now what that means is your first $147,000 in 2023 was subject to Social Security tax. The rest was not. All right, so there's a Social Security limit. So it's good for those that are making a lot of money because there's a cap to the amount of Social Security tax that they're going to pay. But the income that excludes that limit, well, it doesn't count for the benefit either. As you can see here, not a problem with Wanda Worker at all. She doesn't make anywhere close to that Social Security limit, but income earnings limit. Well, you just want to make sure that we have it. Just in case you at home are doing this on your own, you got to know there's a cap. There's a cap. So in 1980, Wanda made $2,000, $2,100. But $2,100 in 1980 is not the same as $2,100 in 2023. So there's an inflation adjustment that's made. And that's what this column is. This is the inflation adjustment factor. And it changes based on your the year of your birth. So let's come here. So they give us this handy tool, the Social Security Administration, because they want us to calculate this on. They want us to be knowledgeable and informed, right? So for the Social Security inflation adjustment, all you need to do is come to this site, put in your year of eligibility. Now, remember I told you this was going to be important. Wanda Worker is going to reach age 62 and be eligible for her Social Security benefit in 2024. That's the year in which she turns 62. So we put 2024 in here. Submit request. And now we have all the inflation adjustments. We don't have to create that ourselves. We don't need to because they do it for us. So what I did was, to save us some time, I just put that back in here. So these are the inflation adjustments. So $2,000, $2,100 made in 1980 is the equivalent of $10,900. Same thing here. $24,600 in 1994. Well, we inflation adjust that. So we multiply 24,607 by 2.67. We get 65,748. These are the inflation adjusted earnings. Now we got to take the top 60, we got to take the top 35. So that's the next step. But one thing I also wanted to show here is that you'll see once you reach age 62, and I'm going to highlight that. All right. I'm going to highlight that. Once Wanda reaches age 60, no more inflation adjustment. No more inflation. You're too close to retirement. We're not adjusting your earnings. It is what it is. And what we assumed was, it just as assumed on the statement, the Social Security statement. Let me pull that up again just so that you see it. Earnings above the limit do not appear in the earnings record. So that's that threshold. We have combined your earlier years of earnings below, but you can view your complete record online. Have that. These personalized earnings, qualified benefit, you need up to 10 years. We assume, this is what I was looking for. These personalized estimates are based on your earnings to date and assume you continue to earn $54,489 per year until you start your benefits. Where is that $54,400? That's this last year. So it's assuming that she's going to continue to earn this until she applies for benefits. We're going to assume she applies for benefits at her full retirement age. Right, so that's why we kept these numbers, her earnings. We don't have these numbers. We had to assume that she was going to continue to make the same amount. Right? And no earnings adjustments after reaching age 60. So no inflation adjustments. All right. Moving along. All right, so now we have our inflation adjusted earnings. What's highlighted in blue here, these are our top 35 years of earnings. Top 35. You have those earnings. We have these earnings. You can see down here, count 35. 2.2 million is the sum of her top 35. So the step 3, we have to calculate your average index monthly earnings. All right, we already inflation adjusted the earnings, made sure the earnings record was straight, made sure it was accurate. Now we sum the top 35 years of earnings. And then once we have that number, which is 2,247,000, well, we got to make that a monthly number over 35 years. That's why we divide by 420. Why 420? It's because 35 years times 12 months, that's 420. So Wanda's aim, her average index monthly earnings, $5,349. Now that's not going to be her PIA. We got one more step to get to her PIA. One more step, but we got the aim, so we're close. We're close. So we have to apply these bend points. And what these bend points say is, okay, the first one, it breaks the aim into different tranches, different brackets, let's say. So the first $1,115, well, you get 90% of that. Think of this as like income replacement. You get 90% of the first $1,115. That's $1,004. For the amount between 1115 and 6721, well, you get 32% of that. And for any over 6,721, aim over 6,721, well, you only get 15% of that. You only get 15%. So great, congratulations. You made a lot of money. You paid a lot of Social Security tax. You hit the limit, but you're only getting 15% of that. So back to Wanda. Okay, she gets 90% of the first 1,115. She's at 5349 left. She has 5349. You back out the 1115 that was already applied. So now she has 4,234 times this 32%, 1355. Her PIA, this is the number that we need, number that we're looking for. Our full retirement age in today's dollars, 2,358. 2,358. That's 65. I was getting ahead of myself. But 2,358. Now, there are Social Security calculators online at ssa.gov. This is one, and it'll help you calculate. Now, we want to check our work. We want to make sure that we're accurate. So let's enter the information on this benefits calculator. Date of birth, Wanda's date of birth, April 5th, 1962. We're going to assume that she's going to retire at age 67. We want our answer in today's dollars. And then there's all these boxes where you can put in the earnings income from the earnings record. Right? I went ahead and put in all that information ahead of time to save us some time. And then we're going to assume that she's going to continue making $54,489 until her full retirement age. Calculate the benefit. Look, $22.93. $22.93. How does that compare? How does $22.93 compare to what we calculated as a team? Well, let's see. 23.58 minus 22.93. 60, that's what that 65 was from. That's what the 60. We're $65 off. We are close. We're so close. That's spot on. Could just be rounding. Probably just rounding. But we're close. So Wanda's PIA will be around $2,300. And now she knows that. And how could she plan? How could she not be reactive? Well, Wanda could say, okay, well, what happens if I decide not to work? You zero those out. Well, you'll have maybe 35 different years of your highest earnings. So you'll calculate that and you'll understand what your PIA is. So is it worth working another 5 years? If it's going to give you maybe another $100 per month? Maybe not. But you want to be able to calculate that so that you can make that decision, because this is your future. This is your financial future. This is your financial peace of mind. One other thing I wanted to say. Okay, so let's say that Wanda, she got out of school, and she just started killing it, right? She's making all the income. Let's say she maxed out her income in terms of Social Security. So instead of being well under that Social Security limit, let's say she made as much as she could. She made as much as she could up to that Social Security limit, the maximum. Each and every year. Yeah, she could have made more. This year she could have made $30,000, but only $25,900 is going to count. So let's assume Wanda did that, right? All these years. Well, what happens? Well, if she made the maximum to the limit, well, the sum of her top 35 years is now $5.5 million. What was it before? 2.2. Now it's $5.5 million. Divide that by 420. Her average index monthly earnings is now $13,000. $13,000 compared to $5,000. Her benefit's not going to be twice as much though. Tell you that much. You know why? Because of these bend points. All right, so the first 1,115 gets 90%, just like we saw before. What's different is now Wanda's filling out these other brackets. So she's at 13,167, so she's well over the 6721. 6721 minus 1115, she maxes out that bracket, 5606 times 13%, that's 1794. And then for everything that's whatever's over that 6721, well, she gets 15%, and it's not 90%, it's not 32%. Just gets the 967. So it's better. So the maximum benefit for someone who in Wanda's situation are maxed out every year would be 3764 versus 2358. So, definitely not twice the earnings. And this is what? Aim of 5,349 versus 13,000. That's what? Let's call it two and a half times. This is how you calculate your PIA. This is how you calculate how much you're going to get a full retirement age. That was a lot of information. But it was important. That 4-step process is so critical in understanding Social Security benefits and how your earnings impact those benefits so that we can be a lot less reactive and a lot more proactive. All good?
I got it. That makes sense, Dad.